Welcome to this video where we'll be doing a normal Roman numerals converter. So basically our code is going to convert from numerals to numbers and from numbers to Roman numerals using Python. So let me give you a demo of what we are going to create. So this is the module where our code is written in. So when we import the module and we call the function numerals, we get this. So we have two options: to convert numbers to Roman numerals and to convert numerals to numbers. So if we pick option 1 and then we enter a number, so you know Roman numerals has its own rules, and it says the number cannot be greater than 3,999. So that is the rule of Roman numerals. So let's enter a valid number now. So okay, so it converts our number to a numeral. So let's do the same for numerals to numbers this time. So this time we pick option 2. So you have to enter the numerals apart from entering wrong letters like J or K or that don't belong to numerals. If you enter two correct numerals that don't align together, like I cannot come before C. So when we enter this, you can see that it raises an error and says the numerals are in a wrong format or is in a wrong format. So when we enter the correct format of numerals, whether uppercase or lowercase, so we have, so it's converted to a number 3,999. So in this part of the code, we are going to be doing the numbers to numerals, and then in the other part of this video, of the other part of the next video, we are going to be doing numerals to numbers. So let me just give you a briefing of understanding what we want to do. This image I have here is showing the numerals and their corresponding numbers. Like we have 1, I, 5, V, 10, X. So there is a pattern between 1 and 10, 10 to 100, 100 to 1000, and that pattern is that when you look at 1 is I, and within 1 to 3, I gets multiplied several times. When we get to 4, I, which is the lower, joins with V, which is like the middle between 1 and 10. When we get to 5, that is V. 6, 7, 8 is a combination of this V and multiples of this I. Like 6 now is going to be V plus 6 minus 5, 1. That is 1 I. If it is 7, that will be 2 I's, and that like that. So 9 is IX, 10 is X. That's the same pattern that goes from 10 to 100, 100 to 1000. So that's basically what we are going to be using in our code. That's what we are going to use to, you know, understand how we are going to change from numbers to numerals. So let's just go to Visual Studio Code and start the code itself. I've created a Python file, numerals.py. That is where our code is going to be. So to begin, we are going to wrap all of our code inside a function numerals so that we'll be able to call it from external source like we did the other time. Now we're going to keep the docstring of the function, and we'll say it converts so it contains functions that convert numbers to numerals and vice versa. So let's show the two functions. So do we have dev? So these are the two functions that we are going to have: numbers to numerals and numerals to numbers. They're the ones that are going to do the conversion. But before we go to converting straight, let us just write the topic and give the user option to select a topic. So these are the two topics that we have there, and to show the user, we are going to iterate through those topics and give the user option to select them. So what I did there is I looped through this. I created a for loop which is 0 and 1. So it is going to print 1 hyphen topics as 0. That is going to be convert numbers to numerals, then to print the one at 1, which is convert numerals to numbers. So let's get the user input and validate it. So what we did there is that we started by wrapping our try except block inside a while loop. So we started, then we collected user input. It must be an integer, either 1 or 2, except any exception that is if the user enters maybe ABC or a letter or any other error of such sort. We are going to give the user the error and give a note for that error. So else, the else statement will only run if the try block goes through. So if the user inputs 1, we are going to run number to numerals. So this number to numerals is going to return a numeral. So that we are going to store that numeral in the variable result. Then we are going to put it to the user and then exit the loop. That's the end of the code. So a leaf select is equal to 2. If the user entered 2, we are going to do numerals to num, print the same the output or the result, and then break. So else if the user enters maybe 4, 5, 6, we are going to just tell the user you entered a wrong option. So the loop will start again and the user has to re-enter the input. So let's test this, see if everything is working right. So for us, if I press play now, nothing is going to happen because I have not called this function. And then what I have to just do is add a line, some things here. So what I did is if name equals to main, run numerals. So what this actually means is that this name equals to main means that if I click on play inside this module, it should run these numerals. But if it is from external, if I imported it, I will be the one to call the numerals explicitly. What I mean is that if you look at when I imported the module the other time, I had to say I import Roman numerals and Roman numerals on numerals. That's when this function started to run, so that there won't be conflict, so that if I import this module, this code will just run by itself. If I just do numerals like this without putting the if name equals to main, that's what this block is. But if you want to more understanding, I'm going to create a video explaining this part. So now let's go to numbers to numerals code, which is what we're going to do in this video, and then we're going to start from there. So first things first is our dog string. Now we get the user input. So we got the user input, the integer input of course, because it is a number. Then if there's any error that is a user printing a letter or anything else, we catch the error and then print the error to the user. So if the user if everything works well, we're going to validate the user input. According to the rule, it must be less than or equal to 3,999. So if it is that, we break, else we print this error and then the loop starts again. So now let's start by writing our code. We are going to first do that. Okay, so we create a list. We create a list, an empty list. So this list is the one that's going to be storing what we are going to be converting. So the empty list is here. Now, based on, you understand that we have a digit, we have its middle, it will have its lower value, its middle value, and its upper value. So let's create a function that is just going to take that digit. Let me be illustrating as I'm doing it. So let's assume we have 2,393. Right, so we're going to first work on converting 3, then we convert 9, then we convert this other 3, then we convert 2. Let me put 6 here instead of 3 then. Okay, so now we're going to write a function. We'll call the function to numeral. So it's going to convert the digits to numeral. So it takes in some things. So it takes in the digits, its lower bound, its middle bound and the upper bound. So now if the digit, right, is less than or equals to 3, we want to append so what I did there is that if the digit is less than or equal to 3, we will append lower times digit. You know, if it is 1 or 2 or 3 and the lower is I, you know, lower can be in form of, let me put the lower here, we have I, V, X. So if the digit is like 1 or 2, so we are going to have I times 2, you know, it's going to add it's going to be I in 2 places. So in this situation, we're now going to be having something like the list is going, the first thing the list is now is going to have is like, you know, okay, the digit is 6, let's assume the digit is 2 or 3, so we're going to be having I if the digit is 2, so we appended it to this list 1. So what if the digit is not 2? You know, if it is 4 now, leave. So if the digit is 4, we are going to join the lower and the mid together. Lower plus mid, not mid plus lower. So it's going to be like I and V. That's what's going to be appended to the list, right? If it is 4. So in this, the next one is if it is 5, which is the mid itself. Now, because of there's a pattern between the list being 5 and the list being, what am I saying? Yeah, because there's a pattern between the list being 5, 6, 7, and 8. What we're going to do instead of just doing this is that if digit is greater than or equal to 5 and then digit is less than 9, so we're going to do what we're going to say for I in range. So because it is the same thing, if it is 5, I don't want too much code. So I don't want to say if digit equals to 5, append this, then we'll not say if digit equals to 6, append mid plus lower anyways. So I just combined everything here. So if the digit is 6 now, it's going to do for I in range 6 minus 5, which is 1. So you know that I is going to join with this V once. So it's going to be mid plus equal to I, that is VI. So in this situation, it is actually even 6, so we've gotten to where we want. So here is going to give us VI, then it is going to append that new mid that we have created, which is going to be what? VI. So that is what we are going to get if digit is less than or equal to 5 and digit is less than 9 at the same time. Okay, now. So if it is equal to 9, just like that of 4, so if the digit is 9, it's just like 4, we just append lower plus upper. So if you have like 9 now, it's going to be the lower, which is I, plus the upper, which is X. So that's what we're going to append into the list 1. So X. So this is how it is going to be. So that is working with 6. So in this kind of situation now, let me do it like this. On the first iteration, let's assume we call to numeral now, we call it to this thing now. Okay, let me show you first. So all we have to do now is we have to say to numeral, right, number minus 1 I, V, and X. So what I did there is that, so we're going to change to numeral the last digit of this number. We are going to pass in the middle, the lower, and the upper, which we already know that the last digit is going to have this particular distance. But if we do this right now, we are going to get an error because of you cannot slice an integer. We know that we cannot slice an integer. So if you just do this to numeral number minus 1, it's going to give an error because we have to first convert it into a string. So we're going to change number is equal to string, the number that is coming in. And now if we bring this number into this place, it is going to come in as a string. So we have to change that to an integer here, back to an integer here. So we're going to say digit is equal to int digit. So that's just basically what this is going to do. So the reason we converted it to string here, so that we're able to slice it and pass it into here. And the reason we converted it back to integer, so that we're going to be doing less than or equal to number. So this time, since we have 4 digits here, so we're going to just need to do this thing a couple of times. So all we have to do is to numeral minus 2. So it's going to pick this is minus 1, this is minus 2, and then 3 is minus 3. So the lower here is x, the middle is L, and then the upper is C. Same thing here, the lower is C, the middle is D, I think, and the lower is, and the upper is M. So that is just what we have to do. But it seems when we do this, we might actually get another set of errors, because when you look at it, a user might not necessarily want to work with 1,000 or anything like that. What if a user brings in 6 and we already do this thing 3 times, which means that after successfully getting this, when it reaches number minus 2, we're going to get an index error because it is just a single digit, or maybe it is even 2 digits, and we'll do number minus 3. So what we have to do is that we have to just add maybe a couple of zeros to the front of this number. Let's add like 3 zeros. So what these 3 zeros just mean is that when we want to pass in this second and third, is just going to be sending zeros to this, and nothing is going to happen because we did not check for if digit is equal to 0. You know what this one is going to do is append 0 times lower, which is nothing. So nothing is going to happen there. So in case we pass in 2 digits or 3 digits, we'll be able to catch any error that is meant to happen. So that's why we've joined 2 zeros. So if we run this code now, let me illustrate what we're going to get. What did I even have at that time? Forgotten. Let's say I think we have 2396. Okay, so when we pass in this first thing now, when we pass into numeral number minus 1, which is 6, so what is going to be appended is what? VI, right? So we're not going to pass in number minus 2, which is 9, and this is the middle, lower, and upper. So what is going to be appended is IX. You know, append is going to be joining it to the back, not to the front. We could have done index 0 equals to this, but it doesn't actually matter. So when you pass in 3 now, which is what? Number CDM, and when we see 3, so 3 times the lower, that is CCC. So the last thing is for these 2. How do we catch these 2? How do you append these 2? So that one is not that difficult. All we have to do is check. We first have to check if the length is greater than 3, because we cannot just say for I in range minus 4 and be getting error again. So we can actually do that too. So if So what we did is that if len number is greater than 3, that means if the number of digits passed in is 4 or 5 or something like that, we're now going to loop in. So we're going to get those numbers, because if I don't know, in some cases we might have 22,000 anything here, so I'm just going to get a number, in the number that comes from 1, 2, 3 from here downwards is the numbers we are going to grab here. So we're not going to loop through those numbers. So if it is 2, if it is 3, if it is 1, for any range, that number list 1 should now append m. So in this situation, there are 2 here, so it's going to be finding range 2, so list 1 is going to append 1 twice. That's just it. So all we have to do now is join this together, but before we join it, we have to first reverse it, because we were appending, not indexing. So what we have to do just to reverse is straightforward. So there's already a built-in method to do that, list1.reverse. So after reversing, we now join it together. So what this means is that this dot join list 1 means that we are going to join all the items in list 1 and separate them by what is in between these 2 quotes. So if we have a dash here now, what we are going to get, when we reverse this, we are going to have this list. We are going to have CCC I X V I. So if we reverse this and we put this dash in between, we are going to be having m dash CCC dash IX dash VI. Oh, I was even putting underscore there, but it doesn't matter actually. So that is what this putting this dash actually mean. So if you don't want anything to be in between them, we just remove the spacing, and then we're just going to have this. So this is what we are going to have, CCC IXVI. So I think that is all. Okay, we've now returned to the numeral. Remember that the numeral that we are returning is going to be stored in a variable result here, and that is going to be passed in. So let us now, I hope everything works. I don't think there's an error, but let's see. So when we run this code now, okay, so we pick 2, it's going to return none. So let's pick 1, enter the number, let's enter letter, it catches the error. Now let's enter number greater than 3,999, it also catches the error. So let's now enter what we've been working with, 32396. So CCC XC, it is wrong. Something is wrong. It's meant to be CCC IXVI. So, oh, it is meant to be if digit is greater than or equal to 5, not less than or equal to 5. If digit is greater than or equal to 5. So I think that's where the error is. That did I not see that earlier. So I think if we do it now, we're going to be correct. 2396. Okay, so that's just all we had to do there. We undo the error. It is meant to be greater than or equal to 5, and the digit is less than 9. So that's all we have to do. That is, in the next video we'll continue from here. Just press next and go to the next video. I think I have the link in the description there. Alright, I'll see you in the next video.